Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, no matter where you are. Welcome to the Vegan World 2026 Moonshot podcast. And thank you to Jane Willis Mitchell for hosting this on Jane Unchained. And today we are going to be talking about the foundations of a vegan world. What should it be? And how do we build it? Because we really have to build a new model. And I'm joined by two of my co-conspirators who worked with me on the Vegan World 2026 Convergence, Tammy Hay from Edmonton, or is it Canada, and Danny from Georgia. Thank you all both for being here. It was a pleasure to work with you all to do this convergence, and I know how much effort you all put into it, but we pulled it off. Thank you so much.
It's like Christmas Day. It's all this buildup, and then poof, where did everybody go? And on Monday, what am I doing today? It's funny. It's like, there it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it was, I was in the convergence room for 2 days, and it was just like drinking from a fire hose. It's just so much wisdom that people brought. And I think that's the true convergence. Convergence is when we each become better at the end of it than what we were when we started. And I think it happened to me. And I don't know, how about you? What do you think? Did it happen to you?
I'll jump in. There were a lot of good takeaways. I think the one that was really impressive to me, I mean, it's always amazing to see the participation on all these different levels, especially with the children. I mean, that's really inspiring just to see the children. And we had some outstanding children activists and just children vegans and children compassionate children who get the big picture. They get the big picture. That's the thing. It's not just, and they bring a playfulness and a sense of joyfulness to it. So it takes some of the heaviness out of the whole idea. It's not a sense of demise. It's a sense of opportunity, and that really catches fire. But to me, one of the biggest takeaways, and it's getting me right here, I'm getting a little foot clamped, is the vision that Judy Carmen had, that she did at the closing. The vision for what happens after the shift, the transformation of slaughterhouses and stuff like that, and just the immense beauty of the regeneration of life, right, as we shift to the new timeline, as it was. Beautiful.
Right. What about you, Tammy? What did you feel?
It's always such an honor to be able to connect with other people who are connected to this deep well of truth, because in a world where a lot of people aren't knowing what's going on, it's sometimes can be quite challenging. And so just to be able to connect and fall deeper into the truth of what state we're actually in as a planet, as a humanity, as a species of wildlife diminishing, it gives me a sense of really incredible fire under my feet. This ability to, I don't know if fire is the greatest analogy, but the sense of this flame in my heart would be a better way to word it, that, I always feel so much stronger. And one of my teachers used to say, to know and not to do is still to not know. And it's truly the knowing and then the doing, the doing in whatever we can. And I think the beautiful thing about both you and Danny, because I was just a very small part in my own rights, is that it's a constant gathering of this flame in our hearts that allow us to keep going and never. It's like your granddaughter said, Kamaya, it's not in me to give up. Like, do you ever, I think she was in an interview and somebody asked, do you ever feel like giving up? She says, it's not in me to give up. And that's what I feel that's being created here. Oh no, it couldn't possibly be in me to give up.
Right.
And so the deeper down you go, for me, the more strength I have to talk to people, and not just strength, but the knowledge, because knowledge can be power. And for me, it's the knowledge to be able to say, well, here, let me give you this resource, or let's watch this together, or why don't you just try it out for 30 days? And if you have a wealth, it's like my teacher, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, if somebody asks him a question and he doesn't quite answer it, if he doesn't feel that the person that's felt like they were answered properly, he'll take it from another angle, because he has such a wealth of knowledge that he can approach it from many angles. And that's what this gives us: the strength, the knowledge, and the flame in our heart to keep sharing. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. No, it is. We are all coming together. We each bring our own gifts, and then we say, how do we put it together into something that is thriving and long lasting? You know, because the current civilization is founded on a couple of axioms that are not correct. They're not true. The first axiom that it's founded on is that the pursuit of happiness is best accomplished by, stoking and satisfying a series of unending desires in human beings. And, we are all organized around that. I mean, look at all the corporations who are trying to convince us to buy their products, and Google trying to, advertise to us, and Facebook trying to advertise to us. I mean, this is all based on this flawed foundation that the pursuit of happiness is about satisfying a series of desires and creating new ones, because you have latent desires that you need to create. And this is something that all the teachers of the world, all the great teachers of the world have told us is not true. It's not just in starting from Lord Krishna, and then in Mahavira, Buddha, the Jains, Jesus said that, Prophet Muhammad said that, peace be upon him. I mean, Baha'u'llah said that. Every leader that you spoke to said, no, that's not where the happiness is. Happiness is within you. It is always within you. You can tap into it. And so if we build a civilization on the opposite of what our teachers have told us, we should expect things to go haywire. And so that's, see, from a systems perspective, we know that, and and you cannot just patch it up, because when your foundations are flawed, you can't just be throwing grout on the walls because there are cracks in the walls, which is what we've been doing all along. And so it's up to us to now build a new model on the correct foundations. So that's what the Vegan World 2026 was trying to do. I mean, we are trying to build something new, a new model on a foundation that's correct. Well, the second foundational flaw in the current civilization is that life is a competitive game in which the strong can enslave, possess, and exploit animals, nature, and the weak in order to pursue happiness, which is also flawed. So you start with a flawed pursuit of happiness, and then you say, well, I can do this by exploiting others. And so that's where the vegan world comes in, because we are saying, no, animals are there in their own right. We need to leave them alone. So I wanted to explore what would be the foundations, the equivalent foundations of a vegan world. Instead of these two foundations that our current civilization is based on, because it's crumbling. Danny.
Yeah, can you tell that there's stuff building up as you're speaking? Yeah. I was going to say that too. It's like, part of the human condition are all these like shadow feelings that we have, and these little egoic things. It's like, I don't know what God was thinking when he instilled the ego in us, and we just like took off with it. But all of those things, greed, competition, control, however that has, dominated, we've just all been kind of sold this story. So this whole process, the shift that's going on, I believe, is coming out of that story, is that the expanded awareness that we're not that story. We can actually jump out of that program. And as you jump out of that program, you know, you're more in touch with your, what do I say, evolving sense of what the core components of the that make us really human. The foundation of life really is just, you know, is love and compassion. So when you start to investigate that aspect and make that your priority, all these other things kind of fall in place. And I think that they're illustrated really well. And I was doing a little research, you know, getting back to like the Climate Healer's 7 core shifts, because people are experiencing stuff. They're experiencing stuff. They're like, holy crap, you know, I can go left or I can go right. And the right is like, there's magnetism to it, right? It's held me there for 40 years, for 2/3, a half, you know, 3/4 of my existence on this planet. And how do I free myself? Because something else is calling me. Maybe it's my heart, maybe, you know, whatever it is. It's like, I'm getting called away from that. That's why there are people like us that are moving, that are leading, that are saying, you know, we've got to go in a different direction because we need to spread love, period. You know, that's got to be the priority. All this other stuff is like junk. It's like a sheath, really, you know, and the real us is living in this sheath. And we're just, like you said, you know, it's time for the butterfly to want, and we're feeling this, but it's challenging. It's not easy, but you can make that decision, ask for, you know, help from the universe and start walking that path. And the things that fall into place that are aligned with, once you make a decision that my priority is to serve mankind, to serve the evolution of mankind on this planet and serve the planet, you know, everything being interdependent. So pick one thing on the wheel that you want to serve and, you know, everything else kind of, and then there are these other things that come with it. And I think that has been built into the Climate Healers, like 7 core shifts. So you make the decision that you're going to go this way to shift. And these are the things that fall in line, and look at the beauty of that. You know, look at the beauty of that and the truth of that and the reality of that and how it serves life, period. It serves life. It's growth. It's alive. It's not destruction. It's not a dead end. It's right expansion. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, I did just, that was a total ramble, and thank you for giving that to me.
No. I mean, it's great. Basically, you're bringing in the 7 core shifts, which is like a civilizational shifts that need to happen. And then we talk about the 4 cultural shifts that need to happen, you know, in terms of the games we play, the stories we tell, you know, the rituals we perform, and the habits that we inculcate. But then, you know, but to me, the foundations are different from that. The foundations are, you know, when I talk about the foundations of the current system being, you know, the exploitative idea that, we have the strength and we can do what we want. Because we can do what we want, but in the long run, it's not good for you. That's what we are figuring out right now, right? And what goes up comes down, huh?
Well, it's more like one is a dead end.
Right.
Greed is futile. Destruction is futile. You know, what's the difference between greed and destruction? Control is futile. It's a joke. It's futile. It ends in demise, destruction, and it's got nowhere to go. Life is expansion. It's growth. Who knows? There's no ceiling. So you're going to choose life or destructions, quite simply.
Right. Yeah, it's from that we get the death, disease, and destruction, right? So we make money of the death for animals, diseases for human beings, and destruction of the planet. And so the money that we have accumulated is just literally blood money. That's what it is.
I worked on Wall Street for almost 30 years, and I envisioned 2 guys left on the Chicago pits. That's what's happening now. There's going to be 2 rich guys, and they're going to have each other to trade with. And the rest of us, you know, will be living off of mushrooms in the forest, spending 90% of our day dancing to, you know, who knows, the angels singing or something. And then these 2 little guys had left in the pits, just trading their butts off just with each other. It's a dead end.
Yeah. Hello, BJ. Good to see you. Thank you for pouring your heart out and making this convergence such a success. Clearly, none of this could be done without all of us coming together. And so, well, tell us a little bit about what you experienced during the convergence.
Well, my goodness. For me, it was so much information, but mostly heartfelt concern for each other, for their community. I experienced joy and I experienced tears. There are people that are working so hard to help bring out the vegan world. People who are risking their lives, actually, and one of the activists who's risking his life. He had to leave his home. He had death threats because he wanted to save an animal. And so the experiences that I had were being moved by others that were there.
Right. Yeah, and we were talking about the children who were there during the convergence, who really inspired us.
Yes.
To take it forward. This is why I think it was a great idea to always end every day with children, with the younger generation, because that reminds us as to who we are working for.
Yes.
Because as I was growing up as a child, I didn't have to think about the end of the world. I didn't have to think about how bad things are. It was always about what can you do, what are the possibilities, and and I remember when man landed on the moon. I was 9 years old, and I was so inspired by what was happening, and said, "Yes, we can do anything, right? If we want to put our minds to it." So anyway, that's how I grew up, and children now are growing up with the idea of climate change and biological annihilation and all kinds of horrible things. So I think this is why when Kimaya was born, I realized that I have a duty as a grandfather to tell beautiful stories, tell positive stories to her, that it is possible, that we are going to turn this around. And because I think children should never be brought up on bad stories. Personally, that's what I think. Yeah.
Yes, Genesis was inspiring and Tebe was inspiring. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and we had a panel before them, and the panel was incredible. Of 5 or 6 children were there from around the country and around the world.
I miss that. There's so many. I hope people will go to the Climate Healers page and see the presentations that they missed.
Yeah, the videos are all on the Climate Healers Facebook page, but we have put them all on the Trello board. So every Trello card has the associated video with it. So you can go just browse through, and you'll see, if you go to the Trello board, you'll see the past convergences, and you'll see the presentations from the past convergence. There's so much information. We need to start categorizing these things and putting it together. But we all grew from what we learned. And so I'm going to go back and watch some of the other rooms that I missed. There were 3 other rooms that were full of people talking. Yeah.
We had a beautiful little, expanding this thing. And I think, Silas, you've had quite a bit of experience in this with the concept of building a community around maybe a vegan village. And we had these folks from Canada who are interested in these eco villages come in. And, I have a kind of a living vision board next to me, and where I have to go sometimes is to my little vegan village on my noteboard, which is, my little ideal, where, people come together and it's just like, well, screw it, just screw it. I've got how many years? So maybe I've got 5 years. Let's start it. Let's just find a little thing of land and pitch a tent and start growing vegetables and get some animals in there need rescuing or whatever, and start doing our little thing here of building like the
Right.
ideal. Reap Goodness is out doing it in Arizona. We had a drop in last night. I wanted to just throw this out from Julian Bliss. Yeah. Right, BJ, who's on some property in California now for another cow sanctuary and maybe some other animals. He just dropped in. He was walking the property. You know, this great stuff is going on with people who are actually engaged in new ways, right? And not that there haven't been, but there's more and more people drifting to this type of activity with the community. And I think what we need is a hub. And I'm one of those people that wants to, you know, build this kind of a hub that that highlights these stories, that can help people get motivated and bring some light and attention to the good stuff that's going on, you know, that can draw people over there and not just give them the sense of upliftment that there is hope, but maybe stimulate some participation in this, you know. And whether it's like getting with your friends and saying, screw it, let's get out of these houses and let's go build a community in somebody's backyard, or claim some BLM, or who knows what you can do, and pitch a tent. And yeah, and let's, you know, support this guy who's getting these damaged you know, animals liberated from their demise, you know, and let's go into this, you know, area that used to be a coffee farm and assist nature in reclaiming that soil, you know, and get involved in some of these projects, you know, and have some cohesion to it. And just, you know, people need to know, we need to get the good stories out there, that of course there's hope. At any time you can shift, at any time you can make that little turn. And it just takes, you know, one person to tell another person and tell another person, and it expands. You know, when you're healing yourself, you're healing the earth. When God heals you, how many people are affected by your healing? It just spreads, you know. So what do? We start putting the good news out there. You know, it's like, come on, this is a happy lifestyle. This is a happy lifestyle. This is, it's like not even a sacrifice. You know what the best thing about being a vegan is? You don't have to chase a chicken around the yard to get your meal. It's so, I just sit on my butt and I pick a sprig of lettuce out of my yard or an herb, and it's there. It's the laziest thing you can do for your diet. It's just go vegan.
Right.
It's a simple piece of cake. So thank you.
I'm building a small straw bale off the grid home on my property for people to come and be part of it and learn how to start to build eco homes. I think things are going to get pretty challenging over the next few years, and people need to know how simply they can live even in cold climates.
Right.
And I really love your foundational work, Sailesh. It's what Gabriel talked a lot about in my master's program, is the spiritual program, is that we live in a culture of death. Mm-hmm. And life is about the culture of life. And just because we have become upside down and backwards and people are living in the culture of death, it doesn't make it okay, but it's become normalized. The culture of death has become normalized. So anything goes. And that has become normalized. So on the foundation, it really is rebuilding, because we are compassionate by design. We are compassionate by design. And the children are feeling it, you know. So if we can offer them stories of hope, like my grandson asks his mom to tell him every night, I will always protect you. He's feeling it. And he wants his mom, when she's putting him to bed and holding him, to say, I'll always protect you. And he asked me to tell him when I'm leaving. And there's a protective energy, you know. It kind of almost brings me to tears, but we're not just advocating to stop abusing animals, you know. Like, there's a saying in my 12-step group, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So we live in an insane asylum. I tell people, you know, they go, well, everyone else is doing it, can't be that bad. I said, we live in an insane asylum. Like, that's what planet Earth has become. And so it's become normalized insanity. And we're holding space. We're holding space spiritually and energetically. You know, when I hold my grandkids, they know that I'm doing my best to protect them, you know, and that just isn't on a physical realm. It's on a I got you, and I will go down for you. I'll do whatever I can for you. You know, it's that fierce love that you talk about, you know, with your granddaughter that awoken you, you know. And so the foundation feels like we're going to start building on really rich microbial soil again. And the life is going to return everywhere. And it can happen really quickly. It can happen really, really quickly, as you say, you know, but even the soil regeneration with proper microorganisms can regenerate within a year and a bit. So it's going to be a really beautiful foundation of rich soil to feed everybody. So thank you for all of you for your work, because you're a much bigger part of this than I am, but I'm a part in my own rights, and we all have this big part, and the kids are so incredible. They're so in tune. I mean, I was very moved by the children. I really want to start working with that area, because that's where my heart is. So thank you very much.
Yeah, for me, as I've always said, you know, Kimaya has been one of my greatest teachers, because she just living with her and letting her do whatever she wants, and then understanding why she does these things, I was able to pull off some of the blinders that I had on, that I had been programmed into, you know. And yeah, so I've always told her that she's the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, and that I'll always love her and never ever stop loving her. And third, I will never ever lie to her. I'll always tell her the truth. So I was struck when, you know, I didn't know what those three things meant to her, but I was struck when Suspar asked her about it during the interview about what does it mean when Grandpa says he'll always tell you the truth. She said, it makes me feel safe.
Wow.
So I didn't realize that truth is where safety is. You know, truth is where truth is how we protect ourselves. And we have a society in which the lies have been so normalized. Like, you have to eat protein. I mean, you have to eat meat to get protein. That's a lie that's been told so many times, starting from textbooks, that people are afraid not to give it up because they think they're going to miss out on the most important ingredient, macronutrient on the planet. Okay. And so this is what Dr. John McDougall has been trying to overturn, you know, trying to tell people, look, there's plenty of protein. You don't really need that much protein. You need more fiber. You need more fat and fiber. And basically, fiber is really all we really need, mostly, right? That's the main ingredient that we need to have in our diet, complex carbohydrates. So that's why he proposes a starch-based diet. Right? He calls it a starch-based diet. Because starch has been given a bad word. It's become like a bad word. Starch makes you fat. Carbs make you fat. It's absolutely untrue. So through these lies, we have been made to do things that are against our interests. And so I think for the foundations of a vegan world, we need to start with the truth. Right? Truth is that the pursuit of happiness is best accomplished by looking within, not chasing after desires, right? Looking within. And secondly, you know, animals and nature are there for us to serve. I really think the second foundation should be what Dr. Shelley Ostroff calls the vitality code, which is that every one of us is here to give all that we can, receive all that we need, and become all that we are.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the vitality code that Dr. Ostroff was talking about, Shelley. So I think we should probably adopt that. You know, I mean, I'm inclined to just adopt that. Because that's who I am. I'm a systems engineer, which means I take things from people and put it together. and I shamelessly steal from other people. Because wisdom is everywhere around us. We have to just pick and choose. And
then you give it back. That's what's so amazing. Once you get all this, then you give it back to us.
Oh, yeah, of course. There's no point in keeping it to myself. Yeah. No, that's.
I love Sailash that you don't have any copyright on your book.
No,
you know, it was really inspiring for me. because one of my teachers once said that everything that we said has already been said, and
Right.
it's kind of the me world is over. Like, it's so over. One of my favorite Hopi prophecies is the time, one of the line it is, the time for lone wolf is over. It's
Mhm.
so over. Gather yourself, they say. Gather yourself. Gather
Right.
yourselves.
And that's what these convergences are about, gathering ourselves and coming together. Yeah, so the next one is going to be right after Earth Day, actually, because it's April 24th and 25th is the last weekend of April. And we'll see how, people have been asking, should we be doing this every month or every 2 months or every 3 months? Maybe the next one you'll keep it every 3 months because I've already said it's April 24th and 25th, but we'll talk about it in April. Maybe we should be meeting sooner.
Maybe we
more
can
often.
do one day a month. One day, it's a it's a broadcast. One channel, take a couple of people, the biggest messages, and just do, one broadcast. Because we want to keep the momentum, and maybe we can take a vote on subjects. Who knows? Who knows how our participants are going to expand, or how our attendees are going to, what they're going to want to explore more. And then there's no going, like, people don't have to go back. People going to go and see a recording after an event is over. I think there's a little bit of I think it's a little bit of a loser, in a sense. It's like,
right.
You miss the momentum. So maybe more, more frequency will keep people more engaged. I don't know. It's
That's
just
a
an
good
idea.
idea.
But I know we just love to hear so many people, and we're getting, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. So, like, I don't know if 2 days every 3 months is even going to satisfy it. So maybe one day a month or one day.
That
Maybe
sounds
one day a
great, Danny.
month.
And maybe,
Go
one
ahead.
day a month, and have some panels too. Like, so if there's more presenters, have mini presentations. So maybe we could agree on a topic, and then we could have like little mini presentations in a panel, and somebody could be asking the questions, like they do a lot for the Hippocrates What the Health.
I love that idea.
The truth about health, and have panels and mini presentations.
Yeah,
10
that's
to
a great
15
idea,
minutes.
Tammy. In fact, I was thinking of a food healers panel where we can get people who prepare food, people who are doctors, naturopaths, osteopaths, and MDs together, and people like the ISKCON temple people who offer to cook the food, and get them all together and say, okay, how do we do this? How do we implement it? Because we have a system that's sort of fighting us and saying we don't want it. So maybe a one-day summit on food healers we can do end of February, and then we could do something else end of March. That's a great idea, Danny, and I think let's go for it. Let's make that happen.
Did I just create more work for myself? I'm not sure. Did I just create more work for myself? Should I just put a zipper down it?
No, and then April we can have the usual, 2-day convergences, because that's the main convergence where there are multiple tracks, because not everybody can really follow everything, right? It's be specialized in things. It's just people like me who need to go and see what's going on in every aspect, so I can piece it together, because that's what systems people do. Then we are supposed to be. We know something about everything and everything about something. That's what a systems person is supposed to be. So something I have to be really good at. The rest I just need to know enough,
right,
so that I can put it together. Yeah. So
And a panel. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. A panel that has a goal of action. Not just discussing what do you know about doctoring, what do you know about preparing food, but with the goal. And so if each panel has a goal of action, which many of our people want, we want action.
Right.
I
think that's why food healers is a great idea. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry for interrupting. And to see results. So let's say, for example, I want to talk about effective microorganisms and how quickly it regenerates soil. I could get my friend who's doing it on large scale in California to do some mini videos and send me a mini video, and I can just play that little snippet, like, so we could actually see that it's happening too for people.
Right.
And
Yeah,
where
we
it's
could
happening, and give the links of those people that are actually implementing it, like right now.
Right. Awesome. Great idea, Danny. And I think we have we have changed the architecture on the spot.
And so it is.
And so it shall be. But it's beautiful, this coming together of people, and getting. I mean, we are working our way towards building momentum, growing it exponentially, and it's something that the world needs. That we need to do this.
And it's fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun this weekend. It's a lot of fun to be doing something so profound with people who care.
Right. Yeah. Working on something positive, right? And each one of us taking something back that improves what we do. So I realized that the default wedge, for instance, that Ilana Browerman was talking about, making every cafeteria, getting cafeterias and places where we eat have default vegan, because vegan is the way to go from every aspect. But then give people the choice. If you want to have meat or cheese, you have to ask for it. You have to order for it, and you have to pay extra for it. So that will automatically change the way. I think it'll have a profound impact on society if we did that. But then I thought about it and I said, well, if I can get every cardiologist by default to offer whole food plant-based diet as the solution to your heart disease, that would also make a profound impact on the planet, right? On society. So how come it's not happening? Well, there's a lot of vested interests who are pushing back against something like that. So that's another thing. Oh, we have someone else who's joined us.
You would say, Sailesh, on that note, that the pharmaceuticals that supply and encourage the doctors, would you say is impediment?
Yeah, that's the system we have, right? It's a system of exploitation, and that makes money off death, disease, and destruction. So this is why I say, look at the foundation, and you can't really try to fix everything within the same system that has this bad foundation to start with. So
you said the most profound thing yesterday, which is what we're doing, is we're creating another system.
Yeah, we are creating another world, a new world.
A V Day instead of a D Day.
Very good.
We're heading towards V Day instead of D Day. Doomsday.
Symbol is
destruction.
I love it.
Yeah, isn't that great?
So powerful. It's the Holy Grail. It's a lot of things, that symbol.
Right.
So, we have someone else coming in. Is Nancy joining us?
There's
Nancy doesn't have a camera on, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's another group that is still part of the system that I have a contact for, and that is in the airline system. Because airlines know, at least they did before COVID, that they are part of the problem with fossil fuels. But if they can just have all their meals default vegan, they can say, we're doing something.
Right.
With the number one cause.
Right. I mean, not only should they be default vegan, I think they should all be default universal meals.
Yes.
Universal meals, because universal meals anybody can eat. There are no allergens in them. So they try to eliminate all the major allergens. And there are lots of great dishes. I mean, we had 4 universal meals lunch programs, cooking show programs during our convergence. So, and you can see that you can do a lot of things. But, we have the embarrassment of riches today. Okay? The amount of plant foods that are available to us is incredible.
Oh my gosh.
And simultaneously, the animals are literally dying of starvation, the wild animals. And our domestic animals are being fed the same thing over and over until they fatten up, and we're chopping them up and eating them. So the kind of abuse that we're doing to the natural world, when we have this plethora of plant foods available to us, is really unconscionable to me. It seems to me like we have so much abundance available to us, and we should be using that for the benefit of everyone else.
I had I have a nephew who's going to be graduating this year, from UGA. Yo, Tommy, and he was like, it just seems so inefficient. He's a computer engineer, and it's like, yeah, the inefficiency argument is such a good one too. Spending all this grain to feed an organism, to slay that organism to feed us, and creating all that waste and that inefficiency in that too is, just a logic. I mean, if you had to remove all the emotional stuff from it and talk to somebody else about, just how inefficient this is, what a waste this is to starve people because you're doing this to pass through this to go to this,
Right.
It's just simply an illogical, irrational thing to do. So I just think that's one of the, when we say we have to meet people where they are and trying to keep ourselves in mind, when you're still in the matrix, this isn't always the way. This doesn't always get through. You might be all caught up in the, in the conditioning, and your conditioning says, well, I don't like to waste stuff. I don't want waste. I'm on a budget. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. So here's your waste, right? I mean, it's just one approach to try to meet people where they are. I don't know why I was thinking that, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to add Nancy to the panel, but it's sort of giving me all these crazy things on my browser when I do that.
I need to leave. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me.
Bye, Tammy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
So good to see you. Enjoyed her presentation very much. I was in there facilitating.
Let me see if I add Nancy now, if it comes off. Oops.
Yeah, there she is.
You see her? Okay.
Yes, we do. Yes.
I've had my video on for quite a while, but I can see that I'm in there. But unless I'm added to the show, apparently no one else can see me. And I am logged into StreamYard also.
Well, for some reason, my browser is going crazy when I add you.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah. What a great weekend. Okay? Yeah, what a great weekend. I can't tell you how much it meant to me. Like you were saying, it's so important to be part of that community, because I often feel like a lone wolf out here. And so, and taking action, like I've hooked up with Kelly, Ray's wife, and we're going to be working together for Vegan Enabler to build that up. And so it's so important. We have to work together. I'd be willing to move anywhere where there was, I could fit into an active community with climate healers. Because I don't think there's I don't know anybody actually in Baltimore who's a part of climate healers, and I spread the word all the time, So
I'm with you on that. I think about that all the time, and it may come to pass that we may convene in some kind of a physical community, kind of a hub, Nancy, because I'm a displaced person too, who's really got no family, You guys are my tribe, and I'm out here in Nowheresville, just in my, little cocoon space for now. But
where do you live?
I'm waiting for the call. I'm in Georgia.
Oh.
And I came here from Colorado, but I'm originally from New York. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and Vegan Village is the ideal for me, but I'll start with something else. I just hope that we can all physically get together at some point and build our little community and start living the outcome of this. The next step of this dream that we want to create. Really,
we need to do it like soon. Should we just all move to where Silas lives?
Yeah, I'm thinking, Silas, how big is your backyard? And
yeah.
My cats have a potty out there.
My granddaughter is part of the Autumn tribe in the neighborhood, right close to here, and her mother has land. If you really want to build something,
Keep that in mind. That is on burner.
All right. We'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. I think it's a great idea to have a community where people come together and say, okay, we're going to try this out. This is going to try that out. In fact, that was the original idea behind the Sacred Lifeline project. And I was thinking of doing that in Costa Rica. And then I realized that then I'll have to miss my granddaughter for a long time.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
And it's just not possible. Yeah.
What's the Sacred Lifeline project?
The idea there was that we would try it all out in one community, and we were thinking of Costa Rica because we found land where a cattle ranch had been turned into the original forest.
Wow!
So it's inspiring to go there, right? To see that.
So that was a true rewilding.
That's a true rewilding that happened, in Costa Rica. So we were thinking of that, and we were thinking of other places too. But the goal was because we have all these new things we want to try out, new model that we wanted to try out, and you need to try it out among people who trust each other. We say, okay, if it doesn't work, we know we tried something. We're going to just fix that and move on. Because you can't deploy things when you don't know what it's going to do. Right? So that was the idea.
That was a vegan project, the Sacred Lifeline? Oh,
yeah.
I think I'd heard of it, but I didn't know.
Yeah, it's there on our website. We had that on our website for a while.
Oh, Silas, the one thing I wanted to say, I don't think I mentioned it before, that like getting the convergence on the home page of Climate Healers. It was hard to find. And the only thing was the registration page. And it was kind of brief description, because the Trello board is a little confusing when you're just new to it. If you just send somebody a Trello board, it's like, well, where do I go? Because there's all these columns. Right. And the other thing about the Trello board was the times were very tiny. And I thought the times needed to be much, much bigger, because quite often the time is the first thing I'll look for in terms of what I'm going to do, Right. That was the only thing, but to really broadcast the turnout was good, but I thought it could have been a lot better. I was actually surprised as many people came.
Yeah, we had more people at the closing keynote than we did at the opening keynote, which is really good.
Yeah,
which means that more people came and stayed.
Mm-hmm.
The time, I think the best we can do with Trello is make it show up on the front of the card. And it does right now. The start time does, and the end time I don't think it does right now.
But it's very tiny. I don't know if there's anything you can do about that.
I think what we can do is include it in the description.
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
Just put it right up front in the headline.
Right. Yeah, we could put it in the title. You're right. That's a great idea.
That would be a good
idea. And then also the Trello card, we are going to take the events that are in the Trello board, and then we are going to categorize it and organize it and put it on the website.
Wow.
Okay. So you'll just have to click. When you go on the website, you just have to click on the video and you'll see it, as opposed to looking through the Trello card. And if you want more details, then we point to the Trello card.
And Silas, when you say we, you mean you, right?
No,
I'm trying to look for someone.
Hopefully somebody will volunteer, will hear this, and I will help with that.
Our volunteer page is growing.
I know.
PJ, did you have your hand up?
When you put it like that, I can help.
Okay, that's
good. Do you know WordPress?
Not really, but can't be that hard.
Okay, I like that attitude, Nancy.
For a non-technical person, I am a bit of a geek for a non-technical person.
Okay,
I'm going to put you on my list of volunteers too, Nancy. PJ, did you have your hand up?
Well, I was going to say something about these groups that live together and try to do it sustainably and lovingly. There's more than just one or two of them. They're around. They're all around, and so connecting. We don't have to start from the beginning. We can, but there are some. And once we're connected, one can say, "Oh, I can live there. Oh, I can live here. Which one suits one?"
Right.
And then also they may begin as the climate changes in an area. I mean, as it does, people their neighbors become come over here. There's not any room there.
Right.
I can see that happening.
We had this interesting synchronicity last night when we were on our decompression moon movement last night, and Julian came in and Jiva was on, and Julian's talking about how he would invite people to come on this new property to help out with the program, and Jiva's like, well, I'm looking to move. And then we did 5-minute research on, tiny homes and what the choices are there, and said she's ready to move. He's got a place for her. She needs this stuff. We might just do a GoFundMe, and there's our community jumping in on, helping one of our brothers and sisters make a reality. But it can happen that fast. I've been thinking about a place. Here's a place where we need people, and the match is made. So
Right.
She might be one of our test projects for the whole vegan camp, on a sanctuary thing. We'll see how it goes for her.
Well, hello, Jiva. I hope you don't mind.
Guinea pig. Oh, sorry. I don't like imitation. we need another euphemism for guinea pig.
I know.
A non-violent.
I know.
Our trial.
But yeah, now this is the way things, this is the way we create order out of chaos. And so I'm glad it's happening the way it's happening. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments, if there are any questions.
No
Can we,
mistake.
Emek knows WordPress. Oh, thank you, Emek. That's what Sarah said. Emek knows WordPress.
That's what volunteers. Thank you, Emek.
Sailesh, if
Yeah.
I may, we have new constitution meeting at noon.
Right. In
Just
8 minutes,
wanted
we
to
have
put-
new constitution meeting, and Deborah will be there. So please join us. So our calendar is up on climatehealers.org/4u/calendar.
Beautiful.
And so it's got all the events that we have on Climate Healers, and it's open to the public. So please, anyone can come, because whatever we do has to be open source. I really believe that. Fundamentally, it has to be open source, and we need to be prepared to just take things from others who are doing a good job, and take it from them and put it together.
And not be surprised when your work is something else. It's like, it's a good thing. It's a compliment.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. It's great to
Thank
see you this morning. Okay. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Vegan.
Namaste. Bye now.
Right. Bye now.
Oh.